So, welcome with a new episode in our podcast Mindset Mastery and with an amazing new guest, Valerio. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, sir.
Um, I would talk a little bit about you. I met Valerio online on LinkedIn, and he's a military special force, Air Force, and he's a pilot, and he's a business consultant. All of that. Could you tell me a little bit about your journey and your career, please?
Yes, it has been a journey which started very young. Funny enough, I started flying before I got my driving license.
Oh
So
my God.
at 16, I got my first flight as a pilot, and I never traveled as a passenger first. And then it all started from there. I joined the Air Force Academy in Italy, which is a 4 years program where you get a master's degree in political science. And then you follow the European Joint Jet Pilot Training School in USA, which is a top school of NATO for the Air Force as a qualified fast jet pilots. Came back in Italy and I started having a little bit of a challenge because the economy was not doing so well in Italy. We had a lot of defense cut. So instead of expecting to be a top gun in my school, I actually managed to get a heavy transport career, which actually gave me the chance to explore something I was not expecting. And that's when it started all the unexpected steps in my life. I've done what is called the return to service in the Air Force. So I worked 21 years in the Air Force. I've been working in different subjects from HR to training. And I was lucky enough. I mean, I can only say I was lucky enough because I was given anytime a different job. Okay, so I went from event organization, event planning to art shows to HR. I worked HR 1 year on cadet programs. I work as a CRM instructor, which means sort of a leadership you want to talk in the business arena today. I learned how to teach on the aircraft, so I was a basic flight training instructor, and then being the steps in my career, I went up to a training squadron commander, and I was deployed overseas, where I learned a lot about deployments overseas, which gives you aspects of your work which are not really friendly sometimes. Being deployed in Iraq in 2006 was a little bit of a challenge because you expect to have a paper in the printer and sometimes you don't find it.
Yes.
I decided later to join the civil aviation. I had a few opportunities. After being a long time in the Middle East, I found Dubai as a sort of my second home. So I moved to Dubai, joined Emirates, and here I am. In the meantime, I was
Now you're with
career.
Emirates Airlines.
Airlines, yes. In the meantime, I was changing career. I discovered something very, very precious. Okay, when I was in the Air Force, I was getting skills after skills, achieving goals after goals. I never really had a pause because the military career is very challenging. It's always a constant change. There is a lot of planning, but much more execution. So I start taking those guru ideas of actually I should do more instead of planning. It all came to a point when I left the Air Force and I joined a civil airline that I found the time, which I didn't have before. Okay, so I will never forget this. The first year out of the Air Force, after 21 years, when you join, you are only 18 years old. That's a massive change. Okay, you are left alone in the Air Force. They give you an aircraft, they give you a crew. You are the leader, the manager. Sometimes I don't want to see the father, but you can have kids which are, like 20, 22 years younger than you, and you know how they feel. So if you are clever enough.
With this impressive journey, I just want to know how you link all what you've passed through and now you're in the business consultant, how you linked all what you've learned, all the skills that you've took in your whole life, and now you're applying it in an amazing way in your business consulting.
Yeah, so the first discovery was leaving the Air Force and joining civil aviation and find time. So when I found time, I will never forget. The first year, I read, I think, 22 books. So I got this finance passion, and I learned that flying was very similar to managing and financing companies. So I came across lots of interesting people from the Air Force. Everybody left at his own pace and his own time. And I became an aviation consultant after pretty much my MBA that I finished a few years ago in international business. Now, what I learned through the books and through having time is how to manage. Okay, how to manage my time was actually the first learning after I left the Air Force. The Air Force doesn't let you manage your time. They're always in a rush. It's a more a react to events program rather than a planning exercise. So on the Air Force, you do a lot of planning, you do a lot of budgeting, you do a lot of analysis. But to be really honest, when you are in the action, it all goes to banana. I find out that this is the best skill. Okay, when I come across customers, when I have to develop products, I develop a process. And this process, it's extremely hard to replicate in big organization because it's a filter. You will have your manager, then you will have your super manager, you have your CEO, and then it's step above on the board. Now, the good thing is that a huge company can be extremely analytical, but it loses flexibility. What I learned from having an air flying experience and being in the business is I can couple them. It's very hard to explain when you're making a job interview because lots of people is asking you, what is in your past? What did you do? Yeah. Yes, I have been a project manager for the electronic flying bag at that time when it just came out, the iPad, and we needed to stick this screen in the flight deck, which, you know, a passenger can say, okay, well, just take an iPad to the flight deck. Well, you start from a Tempest trials, you go to the test squadron to check if it explodes in whatever depressurization situation. You check if the battery is good enough, if the battery does not create any issue and gets fired when it's heated by the solar lights from outside the flight deck. You do a lot of stuff, okay?
All this is how to manage the risk, all the risks that you are
exactly. Yeah. So what I learned is that I don't really focus on is the outcome. I really focus on the risk assessment, and the outcome normally comes after that. And I didn't know this before. It was a learning point for me after I left the Air Force. In the business works much better because you have a set precise settings. So I can assess the risk much easier. You don't have the political aspects that it changes because of whatever reason, even though it changes in the market, but not at that pace. And you have more data. It's less personal, you know. So I learned how to apply my process, starting from the finance point of view, starting from indicators. We use a lot of indicators. When we develop any product, we do have a macroeconomic and microeconomic process just beforehand.
How could you connect or just relate having this great attitude and the perspective in applying of being a pilot and in being in the special force, and now you're being as a business consultant?
Well, I was in the Air Force. I was not exactly in the Special Forces, but we do have support for the Special Forces at DME. We do have specific products that are tailored upon the needs. Now, when we sit down with somebody, we tend to beforehand analyze the customer needs. We need to understand in which air we're moving in, you know, just to keep it the air. If it's a rough air, we take some different kind of planes. If it's a smooth air, we take something else. So the economic analysis, it comes beforehand. Even if it's a military organization, today they cannot avoid to understand what's going on economically because the forces are immense. So the political aspects has a lot of weight, but the economic side is extremely important. So we do have a process. We use what we do as a pilot to to assess it. I'll do very quickly. A process that we use is very similar to the aviation one, because we check the weather, but you can't really control the weather.
Yes.
You can estimate the fuel to land in a different airport, but you don't really know if the airport is open because you take off 14 hours before.
Yeah, yeah.
You plan to go across the ocean, but eventually you lose an engine and you end up flying somewhere else. You plan something and then you are delayed on the ground because somebody gets sick. It's a very and constant challenge. Now, what is the highest required skill to work in this environment is not really thinking of what is happening and how you came there. It's just what is the solution. So in our process, in my process, when I set up a consultancy project, I have a lot of windows. I don't live to the case, and I don't like working in a perfect environment. I just hate it. If you ask me, okay, what is the perfect solution? I will say, before I get there, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah, because we're living in a world that full of uncertainty, and it requires us to take decisions on the spot. Because if you don't take decision, it will lead you to the indecision, which is doubt and fear, and you don't know what's going on. You feel that this uncertainty is against you. No, it's something. It's to challenge you. It's to make something. It's to make you a person that more capable of doing new things in your life. And I'm 100% sure that all that you pass through now, you are applying in an amazing way in your business consulting, and you're linking all the process together to having those great results.
Yes, that was a discovery to me, and it's still a discovery sometimes. I learn every time I meet somebody, and before putting things done, I try to learn something from my customer. It is extremely important to learn something about him, because it's not just about being, customer centric. It's more about understanding. I don't feel like sometimes companies give enough importance to the customer behavior. Somebody can have a very different risk tolerance. So the perfect solution cannot be his perfect solution. Everybody knows that if you use proper, finance planning, in 40 years, you may gain a lot of fortune. But what the up and downs that you get up to there? Can you manage that? Can you really understand when it's the time to, relax and just sit back and just wait, or not? That's what we actually focus a lot. Everything that we develop at DME are based on this process. To be honest, I learned through a lot of mistakes. I cannot say that it has been an easy ride.
That's what
Absolutely.
I always say about that. Always learning is the more you understand yourself, and the more you study yourself, and the more you know how you are capable of. Always ask yourself every day, what I'm capable of. What can I do things in a better way? And this is a great way to take the feedback and not be an ego-based, be like spirit-based, and say that I can do it in a better way. So taking those feedbacks from clients or from your the people that you're coaching, or you're making a project with them, it's so essential for you. And also, it's something that it can give you a new opportunity. You could think in a different perspective on the things, how you are doing it.
Yes, that's something that I appreciate every day. Some people normally ask me, how is actually the first question I was asking, I was joining a civil airline. It was like, how do you feel leaving the military and joining a civil airline company? And I was like, listen, I know already how to sleep in a tent and how to sleep in a 5-star hotel, and that makes me no difference. So, that was my answer to the HR man, and it was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Listen, if you send me to a tent, I sleep in a tent. If you send me to Shangri-La, I sleep at Shangri-La. But it doesn't really change my outcome."
Yeah.
So that's something that they did not expect. And I would say that's what I learned in the Air Force. It doesn't really matter. I'm so focused on what I have to do that it doesn't really matter how many staff I had before. obviously the result will not be the same. If I sleep in a tent, I will have my shoes full of mud. If I sleep at the Shangri-La or at the Hilton 5-star hotel on the beach, I will probably have my extremely luxurious shoes clean and dark. But that doesn't really matter. I still have to walk.
That's your attitude, because you've been raised in this, and to have this great attitude and the right attitude to look always, because everything have this law of polarity, have positive and negative. So you've passed through all this, and you know that every negative there's a positive. You always look for the positive thing in it,
Yes.
and always look for the opportunity in it, whatever the case it is. And that's why I would love to share this with my audience, that this law of polarity, always look for the positive. Even if it's negative, there's still a small portion of positivity. Look just on it and concentrate on that.
That's something we also discovered in applying. We work in a team where pretty much everybody has his own skills. I like to learn from my team when I'm working with them. Sometimes it's extremely important to shut up during a meeting because that's the best part of it, that you're just getting skills, getting stuff pretty much for free, especially in 2 days when you need to keep pace with the updates of the industry, and you can't really focus on knowing everything. So this is something that I also learned. Why should I pretend to know everything? I'm not. So when you stop pretending to know everything, that's exactly when your universe unfolds. That's exactly when things happens to you, because you have no pretension. You have no pretension moment to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this because I know pretty well. Well, if you don't doubt yourself, it's not a winning theory. It's not a winning theory.
That's what I said, that always listening, it's here where you can win, because listening, you could listen to something you don't know, but if you're talking, you're saying something you already know. So that's why it's better for you most of the time, just listen, and listen carefully.
Absolutely.
Really, it was an amazing conversation. How would you like to close with me? Just give me just your insights, your impression of.
To be really honest, I would like to leave an encouragement to people which is approaching, a hard time in his career, or is just wants to change his career, on his thinking to be on your own. The first thing you need to learn in those big steps is how you manage fear. I learned how to manage fear through a little bit of meditation. I cannot avoid to say that.
Yes.
If you know how to manage fear, you will not have fear ever. That's the best thing and the best advice I can give, because it's just a process that it will take you there. And when you will discover that you know how to assess, to manage fear, you'll discover that you're not really doing anything else than just taking that away from your desk. And that's going to be 100% success guaranteed.
I agree totally with you. Once you hit this barrier, the fear barrier, you'll jump to the freedom. And it's all matter of taking the decision. Once you take a committed decision that you want to change, and you want to just move from the comfort zone that you are in it, just allocate your time in a way that it's aligned with your goals and with your professional and personal growth. That's where you can start changing in your life, and just step out, take actions. Don't stay in the comfort zone, because opposite the decision is indecision, which it will lead definitely to doubt and worry.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to do new things. We are performing the best when we do things that we haven't done it before.
100%. I would really like to thank you and for your time, Valerio, and really you're amazing, and your experience, it's amazing how you link all the things together in a way that you didn't just being as a pilot, you are implementing everything in the business consultant in your daily life, and in a very nice way and in a very effective way. So thank you for your time. And
thank you.
And we'll have another time, another conversation on our podcast. You're most welcome.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.